Hey, what's going on this beautiful morning at the Averett Fix? Well, we have lots of things in the works. First of all, my entire dining room table is taken up with wedding preparation. It is even, there's some scraps for the pigs. It's even spilled its way over into the kitchen. I'm working on the corsages, and I put them up here because we have sweet little cats. My mom bought me 14 new glasses, including some beautiful ones that she found at the thrift store that have these little flowers on them. I put them out about a week ago. One of the ones with flowers on it is already missing. So I'm going to box up all but 6. The reason I didn't have glasses before is because the children either broke them all or lost them all, and then I refused to buy any more. But I guess my mom wants me to have some glasses, so there's that. We've washed all of the skillets, and we have one sink full because I just cleaned out the refrigerator and got all of those dishes out of the refrigerator and made some meals for my family by using things with like profiles to create some casseroles. I know that maybe you might not live like that, but that's how we live. And so now I have turned my unruly refrigerator into one a little more ruly. I didn't do the vegetable drawers. I didn't do the meat drawers. I'll get to those after I finish with this week's dinner to go. So today we are once again making freezer meals. The freezer meals were a huge hit last week, and I'm going to do those again this week because after today I'm going to be in full wedding mode. It'll be about 3 weeks until the wedding, and I will need to focus all of my energy on that. I'm the florist and I'm the caterer, and I'm the mother of the bride. So I'm going to quit for a little while. I'll post all those wedding videos probably way after the wedding, and maybe you'll enjoy that. So let's get started on this week's dinner to go. Side note, my daughter came in from her morning classes and said, "Mama, what do you have to eat?" Of course, it's only 10 a.m., but I had just whipped up those casseroles, and she opted for, no surprise here, the sausage and noodle spaghetti casserole type. And so I just cooked that in the microwave right quick. She's cleaning out her car, and she'll come in and have a good, I guess we would call it brunch. I prepped most of my vegetables last night. I wanted to show you how I do the acorn squash, or actually it's a butternut squash. Cut it right down the middle, cut both ends off. And you just take a spoon, scoop out the seeds. Those will go into the pig bowl and probably grow acorn squash up in the woods where the pigs are. I was so glad that I had time to get all my vegetables prepped yesterday, but I didn't know how much squash one acorn squash would yield, so I had to go back this morning and get another one. This will probably yield a little too much, but that'll just be one more thing I can make into a meal for my own family. Let's whip into the dishwasher right quick and get the peeler. Ooh, steamy. Start back. Just peel the outside edge off. I'm not going to bring you along for this whole process. I'm already boring even myself. This is so funny. That's so funny. My baby walks in, she says, "Mama, what's for dinner?" And I have just, or what's for lunch? I've just fixed these in the refrigerator. I just pulled it out, put it in the microwave for 6 minutes, and now she has something to eat. that, may I say again, if I haven't said already, was essentially free. I bought the ingredients for the first meal, the first 2 or 3 meals, whatever they were. And then I combined the flavor profiles, she says, to make another meal. So I do it like that, lay the flat side down so it doesn't rock and roll. And then I need mine in cubes. So I'm just gonna go around this part to make it cubes. One of these days when I cut open an acorn squash, I'm going to try to save the seeds. I don't know whether they'll germinate or not. Most people say they won't, but it's not costing me anything to try. And then if you get solid pieces like that, you can just cut them and cut them across into cubes. So there you go. Those are going to go into one of my meals. Smells kind of pumpkin-y, and if you've ever eaten it, you know that it's very sweet and delicious. Got it all done. I just put those in a bag with a little lime juice and water because I really haven't worked with butternut squash that much, so I didn't know whether or not they would turn. I'm going to do the pork recipes first today. Grab myself some tongs. Got my bags all labeled. Once again, if you've never watched this before, these recipes are from thefamilyfreezer.com. I like them. They're simple. I use the term recipe loosely because it's really just putting together convenience packages with things that you can prep on your own, but it is mostly whole food. So the first one I'm going to do is the chipotle pot roast with carrots. So I got a large pot roast, one that was about 3 pounds. It's a little over 3 pounds. I like to give them a little more than 4 ounces of meat per person because these things tend to shrink a little bit. So I've cut them into pieces. This is for the 4 person. This is about 1.4 pounds. I weighed it on my scale earlier. A great way not to get your scale dirty is to put down some plastic wrap or just one of these baggies so that you don't have to worry about the meat juice seeping into the cracks of your scale. Those both turned out to be mostly white meat, so I would be envious of these people who ordered 2 portions because the dark meat in the crock pot, it's just so good. But it's all going to be good because we're going to put some things in here to make some juices and a little bit of a sauce. So I've got my pot roast. I need some olive oil, some vinegar, and then this Grill Mates Chipotle pepper seasoning. I don't use the whole package in each one. It will be way too salty. So I'll show you how to divide that. Let me grab my olive oil, which probably would have been a good idea to grab ahead of time. And then I'm supposed to use some red wine vinegar, which I do have. That's great. All right, so each of these, get some olive oil, 3 tablespoons for the bigs. 1, 2, 3. 1 tablespoon for the smalls, 1 and 1. Now I will eyeball my oil all day long. I will never eyeball my vinegar. I learned that the hard way. Oil is not going to ruin a dish if there is too much, but vinegar will ruin it in a heartbeat. So I need 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar in each. And then I'm going to do a scant ½ tablespoon in the smaller ones. Just to err on the side of caution. You get too much vinegar in there, it's over. Now each of these packets has about 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to take out about a tablespoon from each packet and put it in with the smalls. I have a fly in here. I'm going to have to rectify that. Put the rest of the packet in there. Pay attention to whether or not you use a whole packet. My recipe says you use a whole packet, but it's for 6 servings. So if I put a whole packet in for 4 servings, it's going to be way too spicy and salty, which is something I also learned the hard way. But maybe you won't have to learn that lesson. I hope not anyway. When you make a delicious dinner and it smells good all day in the crock pot and everybody's just dying to have it, and then you try to put it in your mouth and you can't eat it because it has too much spice, that's not a fun thing. I massage all of the liquids and spices together, and I'll do those others a little later. And then I'm supposed to put 2 pounds of carrots for 6 of these. So I'm just going to use my cup measure. I've got carrots for this recipe. I've got carrots for a different recipe also. I'm just going to use my cup measure and scoop out of here probably 3 cups of carrots, because the carrots don't lay right in the cup, but that will ensure that everybody gets a good serving of sweet and spicy pork chops with butternut squash, only I put it in the wrong bag. This isn't pork chops, this is pork loin, so let me start over right quick. And just like that, it's fixed. Looks a little ridiculous, but I can't take all that spice out of those bags. I don't want to throw my bags away. I don't want to risk losing some of my spice on the bag, so I just had to mark through it and do it again. That'll bless you. Alright, now for the correct recipe to put in the bags that I labeled incorrectly last time. We're going to make sweet and spicy pork chops with butternut squash. I cut all of these boneless pork chops from a boneless loin last night, and they look like they're going to be really good. I'm going to put them down in the bottom. I have 2 bags that call for 4. 2 bags that call for 2. You don't have to watch me make all of those. I'm going to put that pork chops down in there. We're supposed to have pepper jelly, but my Walmart did not have any pepper jelly, and I just now discovered that there's no pepper jelly. So I had a jar of homemade peach jelly. To that, I have added some sriracha, and I have added some chili flakes. I have tasted it, and it is delicious and spicy, not to mention just super beautiful. So that is going to work out just fine. I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of that in each of those large ones. And then I'm going to make up for the difference with some of my home canned peach salsa. It is sweet, oniony, peppery, has some peaches in it. It's very delicious. So to this jar, to this bag, I'm going to go with a 1/4 cup of the peach jam, or the pepper jelly. I'm going to go with a whole cup of the peach salsa. Yum. And then a tablespoon of soy sauce, just like with vinegar. I don't mess around eyeballing anything salty because you'll ruin your dish. Maybe some of you are better at that than I am. But I do not trust myself with that. We'll get that all nice and spread around on the meat. I used to try to put my meat on top, but you don't get to marinate the meat that way. So now when I put it into the crock pot, I just move everything aside, squish the meat down in the crock pot, and keep the vegetables on top. Now it calls for 16 ounces of the butternut squash. Just like I did with the carrots, I'm going to put about 3 cups because it doesn't sit in there just so. And I don't want to cheat anybody. A lot of the water will cook out of the butternut squash, and we want it to be a nice, correct portion once it's finished. So there it is. Labeled this bag correctly. That's always a plus. Sweet and spicy pork chops with butternut squash. Dump it in and cook it up. I'm going to do my chicken recipes next, but I think we all need a break. Like, share, subscribe.